this is the nigun for Ukraine. And I felt it's so important to pour out the feelings, because there's so many feelings that I woke up with this morning, and really wanted to be in this place of prayer together tonight. And so for the last 40 minutes I've been singing this nikun as a way of just, lifting up the heaviness of my heart and pouring out my prayer in melody. So I'll ask you just to join me in this nikun for Ukraine, and to really surround all the people there with a sense of our love, our support, our vision. Welcome, KZOOMers. We want to just maybe take a look around the KZOOM room and connect yourself up to this community of love.
Totally,
So, in this, moment of waking up to war, to tyranny, to cruelty, to disinformation, to all of the horrors, for I think about what do we do when we feel powerless? We want to be able to reconnect with the place that got disconnected by that sense of trauma. And so, we look to the Song of Songs as being the glue, what connects us, what kind of is the deepest place of unity consciousness. And I named this class Tasting the One, because once you've tasted that oneness, it's like everything else is sort of like kind of falls into the category of illusion, and in that category of illusion possibly doesn't overwhelm us, because we are connecting ourselves to the truth of oneness. So the phrase that we're going to begin with from the Love at the Center curriculum calls on the daughters of Zion, which means all of us, whether we're male or female, that we're all the daughters of Zion. Oh, daughters of Zion, come out and gaze upon King Solomon with the crown that the mother gave him on his wedding day, the day of his heart's rejoicing. So we want to focus in on what is that day? What is that day? So in my commentary, I say we are called to come out from the blindness, from our blindness and complacency, to gaze upon King Solomon, which is the truth of our wholeness, who wears the crown that his mother, Shekhinah, the divine immanence, gives him on this day that celebrates the marriage of all duality. This is the day of our heart's rejoicing, the day when we see through the illusions of separation and the truth of unity is made known. And then we say, oh, that's today. It's got to be today. So today is this day of celebrating unity consciousness, of having a glimpse, having a taste. I wanted to bring a couple to inspire us, a couple teachings from a book called Mystical Activism. I thought I made up this phrase, mystical activism, and then I found out somebody else wrote a book called Mystical Activism, which I love. And John Robinson, he says, mystical consciousness is an intentional state of intense, highly sensory awareness that dissolves the veil of thought to reveal the presence of the divine as reality itself. Maybe I'll just say that again. Mystical consciousness is an intentional state, that's where we're going for, of intense, highly sensory awareness that dissolves the veil of thought to reveal the presence of the divine as reality itself. Yeah. And so that's our inspiration, to be able to step into this and really taste it, and to realize, like, oh, no matter what is happening in the world, this perception of the unity is what's going to save us, and what we want to establish within ourselves so that we can project it out and connect up with, sort of cut through those places of duality and taste the unity. So today, that's today. So let's taste it and celebrate.
HAYOM chatunato, HAYOM simchat libo, HAYOM, HAYOM, HAYOM. HAYOM chatunato, HAYOM simchat libo, HAYOM, HAYOM, HAYOM. simchat libo, b'yom chatunato, ub'yom simchat libo. B'yom chatunato, ub'yom simchat libo, hayom, hayom, hayom. B'yom chatunato, ub'yom simchat libo, hayom, hayom, hayom. B'yom chatunato, ub'yom simchat libo, b'yom chatunato, ub'yom simchat libo. B'yom chatunato, ub'yom simchat libo, hayom, hayom, hayom. B'yom chatunato, ub'yom simchat libo, hayom, hayom, hayom. B'yom chatunato, ub'yom simchat libo, b'yom chatunato, ub'yom simchat libo. B'yom chatunato, ub'yom simchat libo, hayom, hayom, hayom. B'yom chatunato, ub'yom simchat libo, hayom, hayom, hayom. B'yom chatunato, ub'yom simchat libo, b'yom chatunato, ub'yom simchat libo. B'yom chatunato, ub'yom simchat libo, hayom, hayom, hayom. B'yom chatunato, ub'yom simchat libo, hayom, hayom, hayom. B'yom chatunato, ub'yom simchat libo, b'yom chatunato, ub'yom simchat libo. B'yom chatunato, ub'yom simchat libo, hayom, hayom, hayom.
What more can you bring to this?
B'yom chatunato, ub'yom simchat libo, hayom, hayom, hayom. B'yom chatunato, ub'yom simchat libo, b'yom chatunato, ub'yom simchat libo. B'yom chatunato, ub'yom simchat libo, hayom, hayom, hayom. B'yom chatunato, ub'yom simchat libo, b'yom chatunato, ub'yom simchat libo. B'yom chatunato, ub'yom simchat libo, hayom, hayom, hayom. B'yom chatunato, ub'yom simchat libo, b'yom chatunato, ub'yom simchat libo. HAYOM chatunato, HAYOM simchat libo. HAYOM, HAYOM,
HAYOM chatunato,
HAYOM simchat libo. HAYOM, 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 HAYOM chatunato, HAYOM simchat libo. HAYOM chatunato, HAYOM simchat libo. HAYOM chatunato, HAYOM simchat libo. HAYOM, HAYOM, HAYOM.
So that mystical consciousness that I was talking about, that intentional state of intense, highly sensory awareness that dissolves the veil of thought to reveal the presence of the divine as reality itself. Well, the experience of presence is the doorway to mystical consciousness. The experience of presence is the doorway to mystical consciousness. So Jen Robinson says, presence is located most distinctly in the stillness, silence, and timelessness that pervade everything in the present moment. It is often associated with the realization that space itself is conscious and alive. Locating this presence involves the sharpening and heightening of awareness. The sharpening and heightening of awareness allows us to experience this presence, and the presence is the doorway. So I was looking for a practice that might help us to see presence not as a static state, that mystical consciousness is not something out there, but a continuous flow that is pouring into the world as we make ourselves available, as we become present. And so I chose this practice that I call Wise Heart. And it says, behold, I give you a wise and understanding heart. And that giving is happening right now. There's a flow of wisdom that's pouring into the heart when we make ourselves available, and it feels like that wise heart is what we need now, in order to be in this world, not just reactive to it, but kind of an agency of kind of that vision of oneness. So I want to chant this chant, and as I was chanting it today, I was using this, often I do this hand motion that is the infinity sign. And when I do that, it feels like it connects me to the infinite flow. And if you feel moved to it, sometimes you can even get up and and really feel that. If you wanted to do it with your whole body, you could also do that, or just with a finger, or just with your imagination. for those shooting, I think it's an F and a C. But I want to do this, because it feels like connecting to that flow of that is pouring into the heart is what brings us into presence, and it is presence that opens the door to mystical consciousness. So there's a kind of immediacy and aliveness and a heightened awareness that we want to come to. And when we kind of attune ourselves to that continuous flow, we are, we're plugged in, we are connected to it. And there's a sense that whatever is happening in the world, we can respond with both compassion and wisdom, with the heart, the wisdom of the heart, not just kind of like head wisdom, but heart wisdom. And these are words that were said about Solomon, who represents that place of wholeness in us. I love doing this practice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Where's Mary Rita? You love this practice too. So I think of you sometimes when I chanted.
We want to hear you chanting.
Hinay, natati, lach,
chacham, Hinay, natati, lach, chacham, Hinay, natati, lach, chacham, Hinay, natati, lach, chacham, Hinay, natati, lach, chacham, Hinay, natati, lach, chacham, Hinay, natati, lach, chacham, Hinay, natati, lach, chacham, Hinay, natati, lach, chacham, Hinay, natati, lach, chacham, Hinay, natati, lach, chacham, natati lach lev chacham Hinay 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 natati lach lev chacham
So place your hand that has been in that flow onto your heart. And just take a moment to breathe into the heart and make the heart available to that infinite flow, so that the heart can become wise and the flow can move through our hearts into the world. And really spread that wise heart out, especially to those people who are in power and want to send a little of that wise heart energy. So this mystical consciousness is a kind of a a thought-free awareness, and it is, the chant, helps us to kind of clear away some of the clutter, to just be in this holy spaciousness, and to maybe be able to see more clearly, to be more present, and less sort of susceptible to the burdens of the past, being sort of the trauma that is in us. Because that's kind of what gets triggered in moments like this in the world. So, but there is sometimes I feel like there's a pathway from that duality thinking to the unity place. And sometimes it has to do with creating a larger container that holds the duality, And so I want to do a practice I call entering into the larger goodness. And it comes out of our morning liturgy. And it starts with the prayer that maybe many of you are familiar with. It says ma tovu, which is an affirmation of the essential goodness. And so it talks about the ohel and the mishkan. This is the duality. The ohel is this small little tent, and the mishkan is a kind of a container that holds the infinite. So we want to say ma tovu to both of those aspects of reality, and then it talks about as opposed to Yaakov and Yisra'eyl. These are the two names we are called. And Yaakov is a kind of the small self, and Yisra'eyl is the larger self. And we say ma tovu to both of those aspects of our being, ma tovu, that goodness that we are. So, ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov, mish'k'notecha Yisra'eyl, both the mishkan that we are and the ohel that we are, the tent, the little tent and the big and the infinite mishkan, that feels like a duality. And we want to pour out the affirmation of the goodness of it all. And once we've done that, we've sort of really stepped into that tovu, this place of essential goodness. Then we say va'ani, and I. We come back into ourselves. Berov chas'd'cha, with the abundance of your love, God. Avo betecha, I will enter your house, which is that place we're talking about, mystical consciousness, the place of unity. And so that's the kind of, to me it kind of shows us a kind of a pathway, acknowledging those places of duality and seeing this, sort of leaning into this essential goodness of the journey itself. And then opening up, that says, by your grace, berov chas'd'cha, is this, allowing this grace to come into me and give me the wisdom, the courage, the expansiveness to step into your house, which is God consciousness, which is this intentional state of intense, highly sensory awareness that dissolves the veil of thought to reveal the presence of the divine in reality, as reality itself. Wow, that's where I want to go. So what I want to do as I and this, we're back to G on this for shooting, but what I want to do is is to sort of first to look at this, you know, the Yaakov in me, the small self in me, the place who's, you know, trying to survive, and say, ma tovu. And then kind of feel this like big self, the Yisra'eyl, the one who wrestles with reality, you know, one who dances with the wholeness. And I want to say to that place in me, ma tovu. And I want to feel this tent, this little tent, this strange little form that I am, this ohel, and say, ma tovu. And then I want to sort of expand my sense of who this I is as a mishkan, a dwelling place for divine presence, you know, and a vehicle for the infinite to pour through me. So I want to say to both the ohel and the mishkan, ma tovu. So in doing that, I sort of unlock the flow of grace as I do that. I'm getting my negativity out of the way, and then this door to mystical consciousness can open, and I can walk in, and maybe just get one taste, one one foot in the door.
Mm-hmm.
And what, you know, and I think that what the lesson is in this is that there's good and there's bad, but then there's a larger goodness that holds the good and the bad, and that's what we want to entering into the larger goodness that holds it all.
tovu ohalecha Yaakov mish'k'notecha Yisra'eyl tovu ohalecha Yaakov mish'k'notecha Yisra'eyl chas'd'cha, avo betecha,
betecha,
ma tovu ohalecha, Yaakov, mish'k'notecha, Yisra'eyl. Ma tovu ohalecha, Yaakov, mish'k'notecha, Yisra'eyl. Ani merov chas'd'cha, avo betecha. Ani merov chas'd'cha, avo betecha. Ma tovu ohalecha, Yaakov, mish'k'notecha, Yisra'eyl. Ma tovu ohalecha, Yaakov, mish'k'notecha, Yisra'eyl. V'ani merov chas'd'cha, avo betecha. V'ani merov chas'd'cha, avo betecha. Ma tovu ohalecha, Yaakov, mish'k'notecha, Yisra'eyl. Ma tovu ohalecha, Yaakov, mish'k'notecha,
You're entering in to this intentional state of intense, highly sensory awareness that dissolves the veil of thought to reveal the presence of the divine as reality itself. So that revelation comes to us through the practice of presence. And it is a moment-to-moment practice of unhooking from the sort of traps that we lay for ourselves. So another teaching from John Robinson says that presence is not an achievement to be had, put away and kept like a possession, souvenir or pressed flower, nor it is a belief we cling to for comfort and security. It is the always new, fresh and unfolding opening into the divine. It is the always new, fresh and unfolding opening into the divine. So it feels to me like in order to enter through this doorway, we take a kind of a stance. And that stance, is described, the first practice we did was about this, this wedding day, the day of our heart's rejoicing. And on that wedding day, we are sitting on this throne, and I call this state the state of inner sovereignty. Inner sovereignty means that we are in charge of our inner reality. Little footnote, we're not in charge of anything else. but we are in charge of that inner reality. And from that place of inner sovereignty, we can respond to whatever is happening in the world. We can sit on our throne. And I always feel like sometimes my default position in life is kind of like a little bit at the edge of my seat, like looking for the answer somehow. And this is like the counterintuitive kind of response is to say, no, lean back, sit on your throne.
Yes.
Sit on the throne of inner sovereignty. And from there, everything looks different. And so what Psalm 97 says is that it says that what are the foundations of this throne? Tzedek u'mishpat, which I translate as justice and impeccability, like calling up those qualities to say that that's what this throne is made out of. That's what I've cultivated. A sense of justice and impeccability are the foundations of this throne. And when I sit on it, this is the thing that happens kind of magically, is that there is a fire that will go before you to clear the way. And in the story of the wilderness, that there's a cloud, a fire at night, and a cloud in the daytime that guides us on our journey. And that, and I think of that fire as like what the fire of presence that clears the way forward, without like this kind of my effort, really. It's like, oh, I need to to find that stance of inner sovereignty.
And build it really strongly, because we won't be having a KZOOM next week. So you got to charge this up for 2 weeks. So really go for it. Charge up your throne.
So let's do this practice. And I just want to ask you before you begin to ask for everyone to sit on your throne. But to sit in a way like if you can have a scepter if you want, you want to be able to really feel your whole body, really kind of with that sense of like it is there is this justice and impeccability, that is holding you, and you want to be able to really sit upright. Feel the kind of that line of your spine that is connecting heaven and earth. And we'll chant these words and power them up, and and notice that the fire that we manifest through that inner sovereignty. Let me see. Maybe it's an F. Sorry, F and a C.
F for the shoot ears.
צדק ומשפט נכון כי זה איש לפניי תלך איש לפניי תלך צדק ומשפט נכון כי זה איש לפניי תלך איש לפניי תלך צדק ומשפט נכון כי זה איש לפניי תלך איש לפניי תלך צדק ומשפט נכון כי זה איש לפניי תלך איש לפניי תלך צדק ומשפט נכון כיסא, אש לפניי תלך, אש לפניי תלך, צדק ומשפט נכון כיסא, אש לפניי תלך, אש לפניי תלך, צדק ומשפט נכון כיסא, אש לפניי תלך, אש לפניי תלך, צדק ומשפט נכון כיסא, אש לפניי תלך, אש לפניי תלך, צדק ומשפט נכון כיסא, אש לפניי תלך, אש לפניי תלך, צדק ומשפט נכון כיסא, אש לפניי תלך, אש לפניי תלך, צדק ומשפט נכון כיסא, אש לפניי תלך, אש לפניי תלך, צדק ומשפט נכון כיסא, אש לפניי תלך, אש לפניי תלך, צדק ומשפט נכון כיסא, אש לפניי תלך, אש לפניי תלך, צדק ומשפט נכון כיסא, אש לפניי תלך, אש לפניי תלך, צדק ומשפט נכון כיסא, אש לפניי תלך, אש לפניי תלך, צדק ומשפט נכון כיסא, אש לפניי תלך, אש לפניי תלך, צדק ומשפט נכון כיסא, אש לפניי תלך, אש לפניי תלך, צדק ומשפט נכון כיסא, אש לפניי תלך, אש לפניי תלך, צדק ומשפט נכון כיסא, אש לפניי תלך, אש לפניי תלך, צדק ומשפט נכון כיסא, אש לפניי תלך, אש לפניי תלך.
Close your eyes, sit up straight on your throne. And just breathe into the heart. Find that place of power, of inner sovereignty, which is connected to the divine power within you, within us. So I want to just say that, when this time of war in the world and other challenges that we each face, we really want to call on our medicines, that we have inherited, that we create, that, there's a sense when I call on that medicine, it's like, oh, I really needed this, but I might not know it until I do it. So having this KZOOM community to do this with is such a blessing, to be able to feel each other and to see these same faces each week. And I want to say, really important, not just to come on time, but come a couple minutes early, a few minutes early. I start like half hour early, but coming on time is really important, because when you don't, I get discouraged, because it sort of just makes it harder as a teacher. So come on time or come a little early, and if you feel so moved, go to the website, give a little donation, and we will keep doing this. Although next week we will be traveling, and so there will be no KZOOM next week, and then we will see you the week afterwards. So another thing I feel like is important with practice is to get a chance to reflect a little bit, to say what is this medicine? How do I want to take it into my life? What difference does it make? And the more that you reflect on it, the more that it gets integrated. And so that's why just taking a few minutes afterwards to reflect is really